coding exercise in Python. There are 3 musketeers. They are named Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. They are 55, 34, and 67 years old, respectively. Let's give you a bit of backstory here. These 3 dudes have some kind of group romance going on with each other and a 4th dude who's called D'Artagnan and whose age is 16. Now, these swashbuckling heroes have been roped into a plot to steal some jewels. Masterminded by who else? The king, of course. Here's your first exercise. Prompt the king to type in his name, being careful to greet him with a sufficiently reverent and enthusiastic message. You have 30 seconds. Here's the answer. This is just one way of doing it. King name is the variable that we're going to store the king's name in. The input function will print the message that you've chosen to the screen and wait for an input from the king until the king types in his name. Next, let's prompt the king to enter the number of jewels and average value of each jewel. Then print out the total value of the price. Here's how we'll do this. First, we'll ask the king for an input for how many jewels there are, and we'll assign whatever he types in to the variable num_jewels. Notice how we're actually referring to the king by his name now. This is how you can combine strings together in Python. Hey plus king name plus how many jewels are there gives us one string, which is all these 3 strings combined. We'll wait for the king's input. He has typed in 5. Then we'll ask for the cost of each jewel and assign it to the variable cost of each jewel. The king has typed in 100. Now we'll assign the product of cost of each jewel and num_jewels to a new variable, total price size, and we'll print this variable to screen by saying print total price size. Next question. Create a list with the names of the 3 musketeers. Now we know that the names of the 3 musketeers are Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. So just use these 3 names separated by commas and enclosed in square brackets to create the list. We'll assign this list to the variable named dude names. Create another list with the ages of the 3 musketeers. This is very simple, just like the previous question. Dude ages is a list of numbers 55, 34, and 67, which are the ages of these musketeers. Okay, remember D'Artagnan, the guy who's been hanging around somewhere? Insert his name into the list of the names, but at the start of the array. Array and list mean the same thing actually, at least in Python. Insert is the way to do this. Insert is the function that can add an element to a list at a specific position. Since we want to add D'Artagnan at the first position in the list, use insert 0 D'Artagnan. Okay, insert the 4th dude's age into the list of ages, but at the end of the array. Remember the function append? You can use append to add an element at the end of an array. So just saying dudeages.append 16 will add 16 to the list of ages at the last element of the list. Now obviously these ages and names are not lined up. So let's change the name array so that the names match up with the ages. Here's a hint. Remember that pop is a function that removes and returns a specific index in the array. Then you can use append to add it on to the back of the array. So let's have a temporary variable called temp variable, to which we'll assign dudenames.pop0. This will essentially remove the first element of the dude names list and assign it to the variable temp variable. So if you print temp variable to screen, you will see that you will get Datanya. Now let's append this same variable to dude names again. It will append it to the back of the array. So now when you print dude names and dude ages, you will see that they are lined up and the names and ages correspond. How do you find out how many dudes are in the plot total? Just get the length of either one of these lists. That will give you how many dudes are in the plot. So let's print out the length of the list using the len function. We'll print it along with a word of explanation to say what this number is. So here's how you will do this. Print total number of dudes plus stir of len of dude names. Len of dude names will give us the number 4, which is the number of dudes. Stir will convert this from the number 4 to string 4. You can't combine a string and a number in Python. You'll have to combine 2 strings only. So using the stir function will convert the number 4 into a string 4. Let's do one last exercise. It turns out a CCTV captured the dudes making off with the jewels and their identities are suspected. The king needs a scapegoat, somebody he can execute to satisfy the press. Let's greet the king and prompt him for a number between 1 and 4 to decide who the scapegoat will be. Remember, lists are indexed starting from 0. Now, it's going to be difficult to expect the king to remember this. So let him type in a number between 1 to 4. But when you are deleting the guy from the list, make sure that you delete the right guy. So dude to kill is the variable where we'll get the input from the king about which guy to kill. The king has typed in 2. So remove all traces of this executed scapegoat from our history, but print out his name and age first. Remember, you would have to subtract 1 from dude to kill to get the index of this guy. So dude names, dude to kill minus 1 will give us the name of the dude who is the scapegoat, and dude ages, dude to kill minus 1 will give us the age of the scapegoat. Use the del command to remove the name and age of this guy from our dude names list and